Kaeli, there she is.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. How
How
are
are
you?
you?
Doing well. Doing well for our situations that we're all in. And how are you?
Right? Making the most of our social isolation, being as social as we can, right?
Tell me about it. I mean, for
Yeah.
those of us that are extroverts, it's quite a lot to go
Oh, I
through.
know. I know. I mean, you guys are like missing out on like ping pong and maybe
Oh,
the
yeah.
office and all the things.
The team misses each other so much. I mentioned this
Aw.
yesterday. We did a happy hour Zoom with each other, but I mean, everyone who's used to going into an office, I'm sure, is just, missing all those coworkers that they previously used to complain about. Like, I'll take them back.
Well, and people like me who work from home, like that's my outlet, It's like, oh, just more of this. No,
I
totally
know.
understand.
But
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of the things that we wanted to talk about was, we have this time on our hands. We're home. A lot of business owners are home right now. Business owners are always strapped for time, right? They never have the time to kind of go through their books and reinvest in the practice or change things around, organize things. And I want to introduce you first. So Kaeli is a brand and marketing and business strategist for people in the aesthetic space, and you own your own consulting firm. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the local, professionals out there.
Yeah, thanks for having me. By the way, business owners, I got you. My name's Kaeli. I'm the founder of KLC Consulting. We help aesthetic practice owners, operators, and leaders make 6- and 7-figure leaps in their business. And we do that regardless of the economy. And this is, I will say my business has been busier than ever because we are strapped right now. And we are in a situation where particularly my aesthetic providers who don't have a huge online e-commerce or retail line, some of them compromising or sacrificing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of revenue and trying to keep their team on board and productive and profitable when they don't have, patients coming in the door.
Tough. It's a big challenge, and online shopping and obviously moving things online is a great solution. It's a great thing that I think all aesthetic practices, if you're selling something in your office, you should be selling it online too. However, it's not going to make up for the other revenue, of course, of being patient, and the business is going to feel a big pinch right now. Any way you slice it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing, we're going through uncertain times, and it's just, part of my French, it's shitty, and there isn't much we can do. So, what we have to look at is what can we do? What opportunities are there? And I think really taking advantage of the time to sharpen the sword, clean up the structure and the systems and the team and the things that are happening in the business that we don't have the time for normally. That's really the best way to take advantage of the downtime now.
Right. If you spend your time kind of organizing your practice when you are opened up, you can come through with a big, sharp bang. And so I wanted to, and we have a lot of practices that are joining us live right now, so please feel free to ask your questions. When it comes to some of the number one things that you do when you enter a practice in terms of helping them organize and consult, what are like the first 3 things that you look at that people might not have considered previously?
Yeah, well, what typically by the time they get to you, right, where they're trying to market and sell and bring in patients, they've already, this is really like, that's the icing on the top of the cake, right? The layers of the cake. Or I use the analogy a lot because the principle I've coined is practice optimization, right? Which is really building the foundation of the practice. And so the marketing is the beautiful paint and the design work and the stuff that's sexy and gets patients in the door to then experience all of the other things that you've set up for them, right?
Right.
And so the number one thing we look at is, starting from the very basics, is the structure of the business. And the one thing right now I would say that that practices are calling me for support with is managing their team from home and the activities that they can be doing to keep the business profitable, or keep making sure that even if they're potentially in a role that is now they can't perform their regular responsibilities, right? That we're realigning those key performance indicators for them and creating tasks that they can do, even if it's just making phone calls that can be strengthening relationships with patients and getting them to a point where they are establishing and developing their brand when they're not really asking for anything, you know? So I would say the top three things would be really, I have this acronym, so to speak, a system called PACE, which looks at things to be profitable, making an audit plan to your marketing plan, being creative, and engaging patients, and then picking things within each of those buckets to help the practice succeed.
I think that you know, making sure that the practices kind of look at different things at this point, I would say a lot of practices could use kind of maybe, so I was speaking to one of my clients who said that one thing he's going to do is review all of the emails that usually go out when someone inquires about a procedure or treatment. So a practice might have some quick facts or some templated answers that they send out to their leads to give them more information, along with, of course, I'd hope everyone is making those responses customized a bit to the person who's inquiring. But what would you say that a practice could do? I mean, I thought that was a great idea, which was kind of go through, what are you sending to your leads as they come through? Do you recommend that practices have some templated answers that their receptionist or whomever is dealing with those inquiries uses to make it like a faster, more efficient process and also give them proper information?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I guess I'm curious. I think any kind of auditing or like taking a look at your systems is always important, and having some sort of like FAQ pages for your team. I would hope that the team has, you know, maybe instead of even doing that, like spending some time on Zoom calls with the team and making sure that they're very strong and confident in all of the procedures that are being offered, and that they can, you know, role play and talk through that, you know, maybe leaning on and leveraging some of the reps that you have that can do virtual trainings, basically taking like your own training program in your practice. And, you know, I did a video on this in I started a free Facebook group a couple weeks ago in response to all of this really pandemic and everyone's kind of need for connection and strategy.
What's the name of your Facebook group?
Yeah, it's called the Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders.
Okay, the Tribe of Aesthetic Leaders. Great.
Yep, and it's just for practice owners, operators, and leaders. So we're talking a lot about business strategy. We're talking a lot about implementation of structure for teams. We talk a lot about marketing. And I did a video during an advisory call last week, teaching about 5 ways to keep your staff engaged and profitable during this time. And really a lot of that came down to increasing engagement with your team members who are at home. A lot of us, like, I know how to work from home. You probably, you have your laptop, you're used to kind of moving around your office, right? Like you could get settled in, but think about a staff member or team member who's just, all they know is coming to the office every day and having their setup and everything is there the way they're used to working. And if they come home, maybe they have a family and their kids are home from school, it's going to be nuts, you know? Yeah. And so I think that it's more important to have that one-on-one communication and setting up systems in place. So we're going to have a call at this time. This is, I expect you to show up on time. This is what you should be wearing to our call. Yeah. Right? Like sometimes, believe it or not, just getting dressed for the day makes you more efficient at what you're doing. Setting, you know, how many calls are you supposed to make? How many text messages? How many Instagram DMs? How do I know that you've done them? And then having a feedback loop, right? So there's like metrics for accountability and talking through everything. So I think setting up those things that, some of the things that my clients' team members are doing from home now are setting up and hosting informational, like education live sessions or webinars to bring patients in, asking for reviews. Like, you know, connecting.
People want to help you. People want to help small businesses. They want to help your business. So now's the time to ask for certain things.
Yeah, and I think even just approaching your patients without expectations right now, because it's going to show a lot about your character, just to show them that you care about them and you're there for them. And that's really how you build loyalty. So if you're just making calls, how are you doing, and checking in, I bet you're going to get a lot of feedback from them and understand their needs, so that you can pivot and structure your offers based on what they're feeling and their needs are. And I think that's the time when someone's like, wow, I'm just so glad I had this procedure done. Here's blah, 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 blah. Wow, thanks for saying that. Would you mind writing a review? Here's the link, and really being just intentional about understanding the patient at the time and taking advantage of the conversation.
Right. And I think it all comes from, when we speak to our patients, I think since we're all throughout the world are going through this same experience, when we speak to each other from a point of compassion, understanding, I think it's a brilliant idea for practices to be following up. Obviously, I'd hope at this point all practices have called any patients and have already rescheduled their appointments.
Yeah.
And are able to kind of maintain a conversation with them about the procedures that they want in the future, or examining or looking over the results they've had in the past. And a lot of practices have also had to reduce their staff significantly. And so they're down to, the physician and maybe one or two other people. And so the amount of people that they have to invest in certain tasks has diminished. And obviously intentions are to bring teams back, and we want business back at full speed. With a practice that has a small group of people, I think one of the things that I know is that a lot of the clients that I've worked with have always wanted to pen their own content. They've always wanted to kind of pen their own email blasts to their patients. They wanted to write some content for their website. Those are some of the things that we're recommending in terms of, see what you could do, look at your site, see some pages that you'd like to add some information to. Do you have any tools or anything that you recommend? Also, before and after photos is something that a lot of people tend to neglect. Taking this time to maybe update your photos or go through your if you have a limited staff at this point, what are some of the things that you think that someone could do with just 2 or 3 members?
Well, I would prioritize. And by that, the first order of business is connecting with patients. I mean, it's just, we have to come together, and just, if you're not, and I don't even mean patients that are in your sales funnel, but even patients that are like in your email list that you're trying to connect and communicate with on a regular basis, just making calls and connecting and making sure you're having touch points with them. So I would prioritize that. And then in terms of the other things, I think all of those things are great, like writing content for sure. I mean, I don't know, like, how much downtime people have, or, I mean, I see a lot of doctors taking and teaching and educating. And I think if you are trying to stand out right now and still be a resource for patients, then you have to show up. I would recommend going live every day, or a couple times a week at least, just to show that you're there and be front of mind. Because everybody's kind of sitting at home, like literally living on their Instagram, or on, just there's so many messages.
My phone time alone has gone.
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to look.
I know. I don't want to look at it either.
Yeah.
The amount of time that we're spending on our phones. You're absolutely right. I think that's a great point. Get in front of your patients. Don't be out of sight, out of mind. And then, let them know that you are a person of medicine, right? And so you're there you can give advice on what to do depending on what you're feeling.
Exactly. I have a client who started a pop-up Facebook group, and it's just like educating patients on his recommendations as a healthcare provider on how to manage your household during this time. It's phenomenal. One email and he had 90 people, I mean, just wanted to talk about why 6 feet. Can my kids have a sleepover? I mean, just being there for them. Imagine how seamless that pivot is going to be, that transition, when he starts to talk about, now it's time for laser resurfacing. Let's talk about and educate on that, right? So I think just don't be afraid to show up. I'm seeing this a lot right now in my boot camp that I'm hosting. People are wondering, like, you know, I was thinking I was scared to market. I didn't want to market. I wanted to take my foot off the gas pedal and wait. And now is opportunity. And your clients who are investing in paid marketing and paid advertising, it's going to be more affordable. There's more opportunity. There's less competition. It's time to step on the gas pedal and lean in, you know?
There's
And,
more people
and
spending
we're
a lot of
small
money.
businesses. We have to contribute to, we cannot contribute to the recession. We need to contribute to financial stability.
Right? We need to do our part. And I think a lot of marketers were put in a position where we went from being marketers to being, you know, communications experts.
Yeah.
But we had to shift from discussions about branding or products or treatments or procedures to discussions about staying safe, staying healthy, staying sane. And that shift is something that all marketers kind of went through during the first phase of COVID-19. And we were all just, you know, wanting to let people know that our business is human too. This business is human, and we're here going through the same things as you. And now as we go through the second phase, and we're still, you know, the extension to stay at home has gone further. I think that mind shifts kind of have to shift a little bit in terms of you want to stay as present as possible. You don't want to come off tone deaf. But I totally agree with you. You also have a business you need to run. You want to make sure you're providing valuable information to people.
We talked about this analogy just today in the boot camp training, that we're needing to pivot our businesses just like restaurants are, from dine-in to takeout and delivery.
That's a great one.
And thinking a little bit more innovatively. I mean, I'm so impressed by the people, like the folks who come into the tribe that are just like putting pen to paper and building plans. And we talked about the analogy of the restaurant that there's one that has a sign up that, you know, we're still open. There's one that's offering free delivery. And then there's the one that is really getting to know, understand, and lean in on their clientele and offering, look, I know you're a busy mom working from home, and you don't have the time to make 6 meals a day now that your kids don't go to school, you know? and so let me prepare a meal plan for you. And here's something you can do, offer a membership to the restaurant, right? Like thinking out of the box, because that's all we can do, that we have to do. And we have needs. People still want to spend money, and they still want their needs addressed.
That's absolutely right. I love that idea. I think if practices were able to be like, well, let me create a skincare plan for you. Let me create a plan that includes some foods to eat, some foods to avoid. And going in from that perspective where you're going to help your patient kind of maintain the results that they've recently had, or, you know, look and feel as good as they possibly can until they can come in and see.
Right. Or what can they do now until they get that procedure that they were preparing for?
Absolutely. How about when it comes to, you know, there are some things that obviously we all are hoping that this is going to come to an end at some point. In the state of California, we're hearing dates around the 15th of May that, you know, there's
like, don't tell me I haven't heard anything else.
And so we're keeping our hopes high, and at the same time, we want to prepare for when we reopen. What are some of the things that you think a practice should do in terms of preparing for reopen?
Well, I think it's all of these things that are tightening up the nuts and bolts and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And I would say just like managing the schedule is going to be super important, and making sure that they have those logistics handled, which I know is everyone's just going to have to do the best that they can. But the more that they can do now to communicate that process and be in touch and be responding, you know, through meetings or virtual consults and things like that, just so that everybody's on the same page about here's what we can do. Here's maybe, you know, even if it's preparing for laser resurfacing, making sure that they have all their products ahead of time, you know, prepping their skin correctly. Like they're doing everything that you possibly can virtually, so that when they reopen, that process is less cumbersome and, you know, disjointed on the practice.
Absolutely, I would agree. And I would say, if you can, try to send out some email marketing, try to get people on the books for an anticipated reopen, try to offer something that would get people excited to come in and see you. I think that would also help kind of boost business right when the doors open up again.
Yeah, and I just would go back to adding value. The more value you can add, and meeting people where they are now, the more likely they're going to feel like they want to do business with you later. And I wouldn't jump to just offer a discount either. I would, you know, got to keep your margins up as well, and the integrity of your offer.
Absolutely. And make it more about kind of reconnecting, bringing people in. I mean,
yeah,
your patients miss you just as much as you miss your patients.
100.
So make sure that you bring that in. And I know you're offering and you're doing a boot camp this week, right?
Yeah. So we're into day 3, but it's not too late to join. It's a free boot camp. It's called Evolve to Thrive, and any economy.
Evolve to Thrive.
Yes,
if someone can drop that in the comments, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah. And so, so they can sign up actually just in through the fast track ways to go into the Facebook group and sign up and then fill out the questions. So again, the Facebook group is the Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders. And that was a pop-up group that I started, but we're going to continue on. It's going phenomenal. I mean, it's just been such a great value, not just for the people that are joining, but for me, just you know, make sure that like I'm able to serve as well. So it's free group. And again, it's for business owners, operators, and leaders. And the boot camp is 5 days, and you can catch up on all of the sessions when you hop in. We'll tag you and get you all up to speed.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I feel like that's a great start for people if they want to just kind of get with like-minded individuals and, and join in on the boot camp and see, you know, where it takes them. I think right now it's the time for us to kind of lean in and lean on each other, I think, for different resources and ideas. Yes. We're all kind of going through the same thing, more or less.
We're all in it together.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. Yes. And then I also have this checklist I sent to you. So if I have a
please go ahead. Let us know. Let us know what's on it.
Yeah, so you can go get this. This is basically just a business growth checklist for practice as well, social distancing. So it talks about a lot of the things that you can just really hear. Am I doing this? Like just a checklist of activities to make sure, you know, kind of keep you on track and your team on track. And you can download it. Do you want the link, or do you want to set something up?
Yeah, please. What I'll go ahead and do is I'll share it on our Instagram story.
Okay.
And share the link on there. So everyone that's watching, you know, tune into the story right after so you can get the link. But I think that, you know, having lists and different things, especially like a visual, that we can look at is so important for us right now.
And it's available in the Facebook group too. So if you join the group, then you'll get it there. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This was wonderful. This was great. Maybe we'll do another series together coming up soon.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, I appreciate what you're doing for everybody. I think this is so needed.
Yeah, we're all operating our own businesses. Incredible is a business in and of itself, of course, that's experiencing different things due to what's happening. And so at this point, you know, we're all experiencing so much together, more than we realize. And so any advice or help that we can offer our clients is welcome. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You guys are awesome. All right.
Well, we'll talk to you soon then. Take care.
Thanks very much.
Bye, everybody.